Welcome to All Nighter with Katie Massie, Princeton's first and only live late night talk show. Please sit down anywhere, silence your housemates, and stop tickling your neighbor, you devil. No, seriously, stay 6 feet away from your neighbor. Stay away from everyone. Before we begin, we'd like to thank our generous sponsors. All Nighter with Katie Massie is brought to you by Camel Front. Love the Camelback backpack, perfect for any situation where you need fast water hands-free. But we live in a new world now, a world plagued by plague, a world where face masks aren't just an accessory, but a necessity. But boy, oh boy, are the usual face masks dry, which is why we've created Camel Front, a mask with a built-in water pouch so you can safely sip on the go. Camel Front uses breathable, recycled plastics, which is perfect for the complex contours of the human face. Check us out online or in select stores. Camel Front, we've got your back and your front. And now, All Nighter with Katie Massie.
When you're singing our song, a good time coming will keep your motor running all day. You know you like it 'cause you're having fun, and the beat keeps you moving to the guitar strong. The walls come down and you let it all out. Let me hear you say, yeah, we're going all night long. All night long. Yeah, we're going all night long. Do it any way you want and do it all night long.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the third episode of All Nighter. We have a fantastic show for you tonight. Our grown-up guest is the only Cruz that Princeton is proud of, the one and only Kevin Cruz. And our student guests are representatives of Divest Princeton to give us the advice everyone wants to hear, how to spend your money. And we end with a performance by Isha, newly appointed goddess of music. But first, some news. Recent reports have shown that the British variant of COVID-19 is 50% more transmissible and likely more deadly than others. People are wondering whether it's even safe to be eating with other people outdoors, all while Princeton students are regularly eating inside of restaurants. Because, as the saying goes, in the nation's service and in the service of humanity, but just not service workers. Princetonians for Free Speech recently published an open letter to the editor of the Daily Princetonian, written by Professor of Economics Elizabeth Bogan. In it, she defended Josh Katz and attacked the prince for covering his inappropriate relationships with female undergrads. Professor Bogan, one of the guys. In the middle of a climate disaster in his home state, Senator Ted Cruz took his family to Cancun. In response to criticism, Cruz released a statement saying that his daughters begged him to go on vacation and that he was just trying to be a good dad. Apparently, it's also true that his daughters just begged him to undermine the presidential election for several months, refuse to certify it, and foment anger that led to the first invasion of the capital since the War of 1812. Silly girls. Rush Limbaugh died this week. In Princeton news, Scott Newman made waves over break when he was in the New York Post for his book, The Night Before, the Morning After. The article focused on how he trashes Princeton in his book, but if you read the whole thing, he spends a lot more time detailing his sexual escapades. I will now read some actual, real excerpts from his book. We hooked up once in DC, but only kissing and above the belt stuff. We were making out on my bed and she mounted me, ready to take a trip down Space Mountain. Which prompts the question, Scott, what the fuck happened to you at Disneyland? Another real excerpt. We fell asleep and I woke up the next morning to a Dyson grade suck. That one was actually a paid product placement for Dyson vacuums. Better than a regular blowjob. And finally, Valentine's Day was last Sunday. Turns out Valentine's Day during a pandemic is even more romantic. As they say, abstinence makes the heart grow fonder.
Katie, I think it's absence.
Yeah, that's what I said. Abstinence.
Absence makes the heart grow fonder.
Abstinence.
Absence.
Abstinence.
Absence.
Abstinence.
Abstinence.
Guys.
Oh, hey, Angelica.
Great start to the show, although I'm not really sure what was just happening there. Anyway, I was just thinking about how everyone in exec is a senior except for me, and how we're gonna need to replace you all. By the way, I was wondering, what are you guys doing after graduation? Oh, sorry, maybe I shouldn't have asked. I just meant, like, have you guys been doing any interviews for jobs and stuff? I know you both can hear me. I know my audio is working. Guys, stop being so weird. What? Oh. Okay. Well, this isn't really my job, but here's a sketch, I guess.
Well, I must say, this has been going great. I really think you have a future here at Business Incorporated.
Well, I really do see myself working here until I die.
But we just have one more section here, almost a formality, basically nothing. You'll ace it, I'm sure. Just a quick question and answer.
Okay.
Here we go. Question 1. Your boss calls you into his office and says your work on that sales presentation was complete, utter, total garbage. What do you do?
Well, I suppose I'd try to have a conversation with them and let them know how I feel.
Question 2. You're frustrated about your boss and projecting your negative emotions. You start a fight with your wife at home. You sleep on the couch. How do you get back into her good graces?
Oh, well.
Sorry, do you need me to repeat the question?
No, I heard you. I suppose I'd try to let her know what I'm going through at work.
Great answer. Question 3. Your wife, who you've been like 80% faithful to, has brought her yoga instructor, hypothetically named Chaz here, into your bed, and you find them both in the midst of a rather inappropriate variation on Downward Dog. How do you react?
Well, look, I don't think that these questions...
Question 4. After the strapping young stud leaves, you call her a spunk-thirsty harlot, and she starts crying, cheap mascara running down her cheeks. Your wife kicks you out of the house and says she doesn't love you anymore. Why doesn't she love you anymore?
Are you even listening?
Question 5. Hypothetically, you now live in a hypothetical strip mall motel on top of a hypothetical pawn shop. Every hypothetical night, you sit in your car outside Chaz, the yoga instructor's house, and watch him go to bed. Tonight will be different. Tonight will be different. Do you go in through the window or the door?
Don't tell me that.
Question 6. Are you more of a team player or a lone wolf?
Oh, well, as an Aries, I've always seen myself as more of a natural leader.
Question 7. Dragging Chaz's body to the trunk of your car, his neighbor sees you. She reaches for her cell phone. She leaves you no choice. Your hands are tied. How couldn't you turn this night into a double homicide? Question 8. Try as hard as you may, the blood won't come out from under your nails. It won't come out. Is it inappropriate to go into work the next day?
Dear God.
Question 9. You're now at work. The guilt consumes you. You're interviewing a particularly mediocre job candidate.
Hey,
You accidentally spill the beans, so to speak. As an applicant, you have access to their name and mailing address. You know they have family that they value. Do you let them live?
yes, you let them live. They won't tell a soul.
Question 10. Is the applicant lying?
No, not lying. I won't tell anyone. I swear to God, I won't tell anyone. Please don't hurt me or my family. Your secret's safe with me.
Very well. I'm sorry, but generally, Business Co. is looking for applicants that would report a murder. I wish you the best in your job search going forward.
See, that's why I don't do job interviews.
That's why I never apply to anything in the first place.
Oh, hey, that's smart.
Well, moving on, for this episode only, we'll have a special guest zooming in. My cousin, Claude, he's currently on a gap year on a fishing boat somewhere in the Atlantic, but as long as his Wi-Fi can take it, we're going to get a sense of the gap year life.
Seafaring gap year life.
Let's just hope we can hear him okay.
Katie, hi.
Hi, Claude. Welcome to All Nighter.
Welcome, welcome.
Hey, thank you so much. It's great to be here. Sorry, I hope you can see me.
So, Claude, how's the gap year boat life treating you?
Seems like you've traded final exams for shark fins, huh?
Yeah, there are a few sharks, but they don't really bother me.
Really? Sharks aren't a problem for you?
Oh, no, I'm fine with sharks. Yeah, sharks or whatever, you know? I'll tell you what really scares me, though.
What really scares you?
Tornadoes. Tornadoes at sea? I mean, it just doesn't get scarier than that for me. Haven't seen one yet, fingers crossed. But if we had a tornado out here in this boat, I don't know what we'd do. That's the scariest thing. It's tornadoes.
Huh. Okay. Tornadoes.
Of course, if the sharks were somehow to combine with the tornadoes, that might be a problem for me.
Oh, you mean like in Sharknado?
Claude, you know, it's the movie where
I mean, I'm not sure what you guys are talking about there, but yeah, if there was somehow a way to combine sharks and tornadoes, that would be, oh boy, that would not be good for me. Oh, you know what? I might have to hop off for a second, guys. It sounds like there's something pretty big going on up front. Hope it's not a holy shit!
Wow.
I guess the seafaring life is a treacherous one.
Reminds you of how good we have it here as landlubbers. Be grateful. Things could always be worse.
All right, everyone, this is the transition, so turn on your closed captions now, okay? For real. Yar!
Hi, Danny.
Hi, Mom.
So, how have you been?
Well, Mom, to be honest, it's really hard. Online classes are exhausting. Cases are spiking. I'm not meeting new people. It's kind of lonely out here, to be honest. I don't know. I'm not really having a great time.
Oh, come on now. At least you can talk to your friends on the internet. You know, when I was a kid, we didn't even have cell phones.
Yeah, Mom, but you didn't really live through a pandemic either.
Okay, Danny, I'm not loving your little attitude here, and I really hate to see you so down all the time. I think if you put things in perspective, you'll find that this whole situation really isn't that bad.
Well, yeah, Mom, I guess I know that it could be much worse.
Missy, you can't even begin to imagine.
I'm sorry, who are you?
Danny, this is your great-grandfather, Erland. He lived through some pretty hard times, so I invited him to this call to give you some perspective.
How did I not know my great-grandfather was still alive?
Dan, that's extremely disrespectful.
All right. What else could you expect from a softie like your daughter?
Nice to meet you too, great-grandpa Erland.
So, Danny, you think your life's such a real sob story right now, huh?
Well, sure, things aren't as good as they could be.
And I bet you think no one's ever had it harder than you, don't you?
Okay, no, I never said that.
Tell me, Danny, have you ever heard of the Dust Bowl?
Yes, great-grandpa Erland, I've heard of the Dust Bowl.
And do you know why it's called the Dust Bowl?
Because of the huge dust storms that swept through the country?
Oh, well, la-dee-da, don't we have a smart one here? No, it wasn't just the storms, Danny. It's because instead of oats and milk for breakfast, we ate bowls of dust. Daniel, bowls of dust.
I really don't think that's why it's called that.
And so now you're all down in the dumps because you have to wear a little mask when you go outside?
That's not at all why I'm upset.
Do you know what we breathed when we stepped outside?
Could it be
Dust.
dust?
Nothing but raw dust, no air.
Okay, great-grandpa Erland. I'm sure your experience living through the Dust Bowl was terrible, and I can't imagine what it must have been like. I'm sure it was much harder than what I'm going through now.
Oh, boo-hoo-hoo! The child's tears flow like a river. Thou troubles art so minute they make my scurvy-filled gum shiver.
Who the?
It is I, your ancestor, William Wingles of Worcestershire. Bow all, and pay respects to thine progenitire.
Okay, no, you're definitely long dead.
Dan, please respect your elders.
I'm not trying to be rude, but this guy must be like 500
Out
years
of
old.
my blood, my descendants was birthed from my seed. Thine feeble minds hath no sense of the disease-ridden life I did lead. Thou speakest of masks, sanitizer, and a lack of vaccines, but couldst thou fathom the destruction dysentery wrought on my intestines?
That barely rhymed.
Thine genes are my own, and yet thou art fragile as a cat. You may brood once you experience the plague from the rats. And what of the maggots that devoured my scrotum hole? It's a wonder that all thine pedigree did erupt from mine totem pole. Still think thine life so hard, O children of my sperm? You shan't when I reveal the horrors of my tapeworm.
Okay, I get it. I shouldn't be upset. Because I don't lead a painful life full of parasitic disease? Happy? You've got to be kidding me. Huh?
Oh my, that sounds awful.
How can you understand him?
Listen to your elders.
Hey, please stop. I know my life isn't as bad as it could be, but I'm only like 20. And this is probably the hardest time I've lived through. And my emotions are legitimate. And shouldn't you all be happy that I'm not getting tapeworms or eating bowls of dirt? As a family? As my family? I hope that you could understand that. So, can we please just move on?
Okay, I know things could always be worse, but aren't things pretty bad now? I mean, haven't they been pretty bad?
What are you talking about? Things were always worse in the past, like Skechers. They're cool now, but before, I mean,
Well, yeah, but there was a time when no one wore any shoes at all.
right? Just calluses. They were the original Heelys. Get it? Because they were on our heels. Heelys.
I get it. We should ask someone like my good friend, historian, and Twitter icon, Kevin Cruz. Welcome to the show, Professor Cruz. So, Professor Cruz, you are a Princeton professor of history and politics, specializing in the urban and political history of the United States in the 20th century. That might be plagiarism that we ripped that from one of your bios, but
I've heard that given back to me many times.
you are an enormous hit on Twitter with almost 500,000 Twitter followers. And you went to UNC, so I must bring up my regrets that the Massies are a Blue Devil family. But
well, I'm afraid we're done here. So,
but we're so happy to have you today. Thank you for being on our show, Professor Cruz.
My pleasure to be here.
Were there any particular moments in history that you were reminded of when regarding the attack on the Capitol on January 6th?
What struck me and many other historians, I'm not alone on this, but it really called to mind the hostility and the mob violence that took place across the South during Reconstruction. And some of the premises were basically the same as they were then. The idea that votes from majority Black areas were inherently illegitimate, and it was incumbent upon white voters who were therefore victimized by that illegitimacy to take matters into their own hands. You know, we've never seen it at the Capitol before, the U.S. Capitol, but we've seen it at state capitals. There have been protests there before. But this is really a sad note in American history and really amplified and elevated it.
So what do you think are going to be the biggest takeaways that when teaching about Trump, when historians are talking and teaching about Trump?
We've seen a lot of the stuff that happened in the Trump presidency before. We've seen a botched pandemic response. We've seen economic devastation. We've seen corruption and criminality at the highest levels of political office. We usually don't see them all at the same time, though. And so that's what's really remarkable here is the way in which we've had all these crisis moments compound and therefore make every individual one of them much worse than they otherwise would have been. You can put him on a one-to-one comparison. Is he as corrupt as Nixon? Is he as clueless as Harding? Is he as incompetent as Buchanan? We can have those debates. The fact that we have to have them all at the same time is really staggering. And so I think that alone is going to guarantee that he is, if not the worst, when we know everything and it's all said and done, but definitely one of the worst.
Well, he loves a superlative.
He does.
You have, upon last check of about 20 minutes ago, 466,000 Twitter followers, and you have tweeted 152.3 thousand times. How has your life changed from your Twitter fame? Is it all yachts in Saint-Tropez? Nights out with celebrities?
That Twitter count is embarrassing. The followers, they're making a huge mistake. The amount of tweeting I've done is awful. It's incredibly weird because it's a level of celebrity, but as bare minimum as you could put. Like I'm a Z-list celebrity. As far as perks go, I'm not exactly. I haven't figured out how to monetize this, how to get any cool fame.
I do have a suggestion for you, though. I've been working on a business proposal. I think you could sell historical products that have gone out of fashion, wellness products, elixirs, Cruz's homebrewed elixir.
I like this.
So you're saying we shouldn't expect any hashtag sponsored, hashtag ad tweets from you?
If you do, that's my cry for help. That's how you know I've been kidnapped.
And I was going to ask, have you gotten any weird fan mail? And if you have, and you've gotten any that's signed Katie and Ben, just disregard.
Got
That
it.
was
Yeah.
not
I have a
us.
special folder. I keep all of the packages from YouTube. Some really nice notes. Yeah, I mean, I always talk about the voicemails but I've gotten some nice emails. I got one from somebody last week who just said, "Thank you for reawakening my interest in history."
Oh.
That was a really nice thing as a teacher to get from some random person out there. So I appreciate that. And
So with 500,000 Twitter followers, or almost 500,000 Twitter followers, I think the understandable progression and the next question would be, when are you going to join TikTok?
I have a 13-year-old daughter who is very into TikTok. So I think if I got on TikTok, I think it would probably ruin my relationship with my daughter.
Do you think that there's anything in particular we can all do to improve our media literacy? Because it's not something that's particularly taught at Princeton. I mean,
Yeah, it's not. But if you're going to be on there, and it's inevitable, I think at some level you're on something. Again, I'm not on Facebook, but I'm obviously on Twitter. Try to do all you can to push back against the incentives that these platforms have to let you silo yourself off from the rest of the world, right? On Twitter, you can have a private account. You can only follow the people you choose and only let the people you want follow you. You can wall yourself off. It's very easy to do that. Facebook too, through friend requests, very easy. Instagram as well. Fight against that. I deliberately follow people I disagree with, people who I think are wrong. I don't follow people who I think are, being malicious and out trying to spread myths. But if people are coming to different conclusions that I think are wrong, honestly, I still want to be in conversation with them, whether they be on my left or my right, or a different kind of I'm kind of a liberal, different kind of person around me who sees things differently. Great, challenge my assumptions, make me work for my arguments. I know it may look like, but I'm not looking for fights, but I want to have my assumptions challenged, right? I mean, and even if that's your goal, if all you want to do on social media is fight, then you need a good sparring partner. You need someone to help keep you in shape and keep your attacks sharp. So if that's all you want, you should still be listening to people from across the political spectrum, people who have different perspectives than you. I follow a lot of people who are not white, cis, het, straight Christians, because I know that view, right? Or at least I know my own version of that view. I need to be challenged. I need to be pushed.
It sounds like you're somewhat grateful for, you've had a fair number of back and forths on Twitter with conservative political commentators, but it sounds like you're somewhat grateful for the opportunity to go back and forth.
There are kind of two kinds of conversations going on there between me and people to my right. There are those ones which are the bad faith actors who I'm not trying to convince them. When I get into a Twitter exchange with Dinesh D'Souza, I'm not under the illusion that I'm going to show him the facts and he's going to go, "Oh, I'm sorry, I was wrong. How did I wrong? Let me change my..." No, he is committed to that bit, whether it's for economic reasons or ideological ones. That ship has sailed. I use those exchanges because I know people on the sidelines don't know the history. I have a certain set of expertise that people are interested in at the moment. I have a duty to share it, and I have a duty to push back against misinformation. In fact, that used to be part of his shtick. He would say, "No historian's ever corrected me." Well, because we all thought he was a punchline, so we didn't talk about him, right? So that kind of conservative, I'm not trying to win over. I'm rather speaking to the people who are on the sidelines. But there are those on the right who I kind of found myself in a foxhole with over the last 4 years of a Trump administration, kind of a never Trump conservatives, who I fully expect I'm going to stay in conversation with them. And we're going to have real disagreements on the Biden stimulus plan, on judges, on things like that. And I can't wait for those conversations again.
Have you noticed, you have experience at a lot of institutions, you went to UNC and Cornell, you teach at Princeton. Have you noticed any specificity to how Princeton as an institution and also how Princeton students encounter and interact with these political questions and political issues?
When I got here in 2000, I was struck at how apolitical and pre-professional the student body was. It was nothing like UNC, where there were political protests every day on a wide variety of things. Cornell, much more politically active, much more politically engaged in the 90s. And now I think both through a change in the university, I think it's become much more amenable and supportive to student politics, but also I think more importantly, a change in how the students not only understand themselves individually, but how the student body has been comprised.
You know, is this the new age of conspiracy theories? Have you noticed anything like comparable to this in American history?
Yeah, I mean, we've certainly had conspiracy theories before. We've certainly had get rich quick schemes before. What is new here is the rise of the internet and social media was hailed at the time as this great democratizing thing. Hooray, everyone can have a voice. And it quickly became, oh my God, everyone has a voice. And so anyone has a platform to spread whatever information or misinformation they want. Those algorithms will drive people to conspiracies. So instead of this trend before where, yeah, Crank had a newspaper or a radio program and maybe a couple people listened or subscribed, but it was on the fringes, it's being fed and people are being grouped in and elevated here. And it used to be that politicians would push it off. It's an overstated story, but there was a moment in the early 60s when the Republican Party and respectable conservatives, as they styled themselves like William F. Buckley, drew a line between them and the conspiracy theorists in what was known as the John Birch Society. Crazy stuff. They believed it, and Republican Party drew a line. That's not happening now. We're seeing the Republican Party, at least the majority of it, rally around QAnon. And it's because they see that as vital to their election.
We are going to switch over to our game. Your last name, you might not know, is Cruz.
I did know that.
So we are going to be playing a game called Cruz or Cruise.
Fantastic.
First cruise. We need communication more urgently than ever because the enemies that threaten us are universal: drugs, illiteracy, and crime. Or it used to be that it was accepted scientific wisdom that Earth is flat, and that this heretic named Galileo was branded a denier. Which cruise is which? Tom or Ted?
These are good. I could see either one of these being either one. I'm going to say Ted Cruz is on the left, need communication. Tom Cruise is on the right.
No, the wrong cruise. Okay, first cruise. You don't have to win every fight. You don't have to fight every fight, but you do have to stand for something. Or in this life, it's not what you hope for. It's not what you deserve. It's what you take. Which cruise?
I'm going to say Ted on the left, Tom on the right.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Nice.
Redeemed myself.
That was just vague inspirational quotes. These are extremely cherry picked.
Yeah. All right, next one.
I have a strong personality and I say what I think. Or I despise avocado. It's the only food I dislike, and I dislike it passionately. Which cruise is which with this inspirational advice?
I think Ted on the left, Tom on the right. Oh!
Ted hates avocados.
And
How
Penelope.
do you hate avocados when you're from Texas?
He's very upset that he hates
the California food. Fine. All right. I thought that was the giveaway. He wouldn't crap on anything linked to Tex-Mex.
Avocado? No.
Or 2 for 4. I don't know. You're something. I call myself the amusement park. That's because I'm funny and scary at the same time. The Muppets are no joke. They are for real. Each one has an agent and manager and all that stuff. I'm not even kidding. Which cruise is which cruise?
Oh, I feel like Ted Cruz would be the one who would call himself the amusement park.
You know, I would agree with you.
Except
they were both Terry Crews. That is our game.
I do love Terry Crews.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Professor Cruz. This was
my pleasure.
So informative and so interesting to hear you talk about the state of our country.
My pleasure. Great talking with you both.
And we are back. Hey, Katie, do you ever hear back from Claude? Is he doing okay?
Actually, I just got a text from him. He says he's no longer at sea. whatever that means. But he's still happy to answer questions, so I will let him in now.
Hi guys.
Hey, Claude. I can't help but notice that you're not on the ocean anymore.
No, I am not.
Is that are you in the woods?
I think these are woods. Yes. I couldn't really log my direction or speed, but they seem woodsy.
Claude, what was that?
I think it was a bear. Yeah.
A bear?
It's okay. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Bears don't really bother me.
What does bother you?
Tornadoes. Can you imagine a tornado in the forest? That shit would be terrifying. I have no means of defense out here. What am I gonna do if there's a tornado? What am I gonna do?
You really don't like tornadoes, do you, Claude?
I do not.
Ah,
Recent events have exacerbated this.
I see.
Mind you, if the bears were somehow combined into a tornado. Oh, fuck, not again!
Oh.
Oh. You don't think the bear...
No, no way. All right, everybody, we will try and get back to Claude later, but until then, please enjoy the jazzical stylings.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us virtually for the 5th annual Princeton Jazz Off. We've got a great show lined up for you tonight. Our first jazz trio is coming on stage now, and looking at them, you know, we've got them all. I mean, come on. We've got Jonathan on the bass. We've got Arnold on the drums. And we've got Baby Henry on the keyboard. We've also got Two Hands Harold on the claps. And Footsie Franny, she's here too. Naturally, we've got Jimothy on the tambourine. We've got Ed here from Ed, Ed, and Eddie, I believe. Plus, we've got Morgan Caramel joining us on the candy apple. Not to be confused with Morgan Carmen, who we also have. And of course, we've got Violet on the viola. We've got miso on the soup and Gwyneth on the goop. We've got eggs on toast and pastrami on rye. We've also got David. We've got Flubber from the movie Flubber with us tonight. We've also got Mank from Mank, which, you know, we all watched. And we've got the uncle from The Parent Trap, which is great to see. I should mention we nearly had Amy Winehouse. However, that did not work out for obvious reasons. But no worries. I mean, we've got the Ghost of Blue Christmas in attendance. Plus, we've got Casper, the friendly ghost, Jasper, the manly ghost, and Grasper, the handsy ghost with us. So keep your purses close. And Colonel Mustard is in the billiards room with the candlestick if you need him. We've got just a few more with us here tonight. We've got Arby's on the meats tonight, accompanied by DJ Dude P. Mongrel on the beats, which in turn are being hit 'em with by the Princeton High Steppers. That's right, we've also got The Rock with us tonight. And we've got, that's right, The Brock with us tonight. But hey, wait, we've got the creme de la creme. Not to mention we've got cremeless creme, which of course is water. And yes, we've got creme brulee. And if that's not enough, we've got the Joey Sasso from The Circle with us tonight. But we cut his part. But come on, I mean, we've got Travis C. Scott on the auto-tune tonight. I mean, come on. And we've got Millie Graham on the metric system. I mean, come on. We've got Milo, the two-toed armadillo on the yellow picadillo. I mean, come on. What more could you want? I mean, that's, come on. That's why we're all here tonight. I mean, come on. And one, and two, and 1, 2, 3. All right.
Oh, Blue from Blue's Clues. Hello.
Dear Mr. Basement, why did you have to kill Blue?
Dear Mr. Basement, Blue died, now I cry every day.
Mother says you are a wicked man.
Go back to the basement, dingus.
You stop.
Screw you. Idiot.
You are a meanie!
I am a meanie! Yeah, and so I won't go back to the basement. I really don't like what it makes me do.
Well, I don't know if you can blame the basement for your action.
Nope, not another word. I can't do the co-host bit anymore.
Well, we'll need to find someone else then.
I've got an idea.
What's that?
There's actually an old all-nighter co-host who I heard is coming back to campus this spring. He got sent home during the pandemic. A guy from class of 20.
Jackson would be perfect. It's so sad his time was cut short by COVID.
No. Class of 1920. He got sent home for bringing the Spanish influenza to Princeton.
Yikes. Okay, well, what's his name?
Buster Garbuncle?
Good evening, wagoners and whippersnappers. This here's Buster Garbuncle coming at you live from the All-Nighter News Saloon. Lots of happenings these days, so we're here to help you sort the wheat from the chaff. All right. Well, first things fiddle. Some of you fellas might have noticed old Buster's been away from Lady Orange for a year or two. But the good thing's I got a pint of the Rip Van Winkle in me, keeping me in the saddle so as I can get back to my book reading and my wisecracking. Of course, the reason old Buster got the boot first time around is for spreading the old polio. Got me hornswoggled for the semester by Marshall Higgins and the Pencil Posse. Oh, what with their clean hands and dainty sinuses. Ha! Bet those muckety mucks are twirling in the dirt now, seeing as to how Buster's still kicking and caterwauling same as ever. All right, enough jibber jabber. Let's hit the washboard. My lady in the village tells me Snake Oil Eisgruber's peddling something called social contracts, wanting you and me to sign away our firstborn so as he can have them later.
So here's the social contract. It just says that you'll share responsibility for keeping everyone safe on campus. Before coming, you should have taken a flu shot first.
Oh, firstborn?
No.
Hogwash! Now, to filch this bag of nails, I'm joined by my trusty muckraker, Jonathan Somm. Jonathan, moon's on her way, so let's get a wiggle on.
Great to be here, Buster.
Now, tell us, prim and proper, why is Grubby Hands Eisgruber locking us up and pilfering our spoils?
Look, the administration is forcing us to sign these social contracts to help prevent the spread of COVID, but the rules they're making place unrealistic expectations on returning students.
Only rule I'll follow is mob rule.
Yes, well, for example, students are expected to wear facial coverings while engaging in sexual activity, even if they're in a long-term monogamous relationship.
Oh, so you're telling me old Buster needs to wear a bandana to ride the beast with two backs?
I guess so.
And how's Eyes Grabber expect us to get those firstborns, what to pay his baby tariff with, if we can't dangle tongues with the lassies?
Well, Buster, I'm not sure if firstborn children are really part of this.
Horseradish! Now you may be ready to fork over your offspring to the first tenderfoot who comes a knocking. Oh, but old Buster's not ready to throw up the sponge. So you listen close, eyes grubby. Social contract or no, I ain't gonna give away my little Billy unless I get my promissory notes up front in the core in the hoil. And if you're out of buckaroos, then the going rate's 2 wooden legs or 1 jug of Moe's all-purpose turpentine. All right, enough said.
Thanks for having me, Buster.
Good riddance. Now get out of Buster's cabin, you loiterers.
Okay, I know we said we had to pick someone else because you couldn't be in the basement anymore, but Ben, isn't Buster Garbunkle you?
Him? Me? I mean, I'm flattered, Katie, but how could I ever live up to that man's chiseled frontier figure and hardy constitution?
Okay, Ben, sure.
His affable demeanor and his charitable stare.
Ben.
His lusty gait.
Stop.
Fine, but you got to admit, it's impressive Buster was able to figure out the whole Zoom thing at his age.
Yeah, it's true. And you know, it seems like we aren't the only ones who are coordinating production over Zoom.
Oh?
Hello, everyone. I know it's a bit awkward to be rehearsing this new hot show, Princeton, over Zoom, but we are confident that in our distance technology, we can make it just as steamy and realistic as the first season.
Sorry, we won't be in person this season?
Oh, unfortunately, we'll be rehearsing and filming the entire season in a distanced manner, but we're going to film each of you separately and put you together in post.
Oh, okay.
Scene 17 of episode 5, shall we?
From the mornings you ease, to the evenings you quiet, to the dreams you inhabit, my thoughts of you never end. I am yours. I have always been yours.
I do not understand.
I do not know how to be any more clear. Daffodil, I burn for you.
You burn for me. I burn for you.
Yes, go on.
It says to kiss.
Yes, it will all be shot separately, so we might as well get used to it now. Now back from the last line, yes?
I burn for you.
Again? Once more. Yes, no, continue. Could you open your mouths a bit? No, now open a little bit more. Oh, now eyes closed, Daff, eyes closed. Okay, yes, now a little bit of tongue now. Right, okay, now slow lick. Yes, now, okay, Duke, your tongue out. Now, Daffodil, your tongue. And can we do it to the beat? Duke, you get the offbeat. Daff, you the on. Yes, like a metronome. I'll set the pace. On the beat, Daff, on the beat. Hear the rhythm and repeat. On the beat, Daff, on the beat.
Okay. This feels weird.
You know what? You're right. You'd have to get your hands involved. You'd have your hands in there. Okay. Can you pretend to be touching his cheek? But keep going with the kissing, you know, touch and kiss and kiss and touch and kiss and kiss and touch and you know what? It's just not working. Oh, do you have a yoga ball you can thrust upon? A pillow you're particularly attached to?
What?
A pet in close proximity.
You can't be serious.
No, a canine could work.
No. No.
Can we get back to the scene?
Yes, carry on.
Simon.
Do you want me to stop? I want to show you more.
More.
This is a sex scene.
It is indeed, Your Grace.
Surely you can't expect us to have a sex scene over Zoom.
Well, I'm afraid desperate times call for desperate measures, Daff. Okay, let's begin with a light grinding motion.
Excuse me.
No worries if you need to back up. Remember what we learned. Yes, okay. Now, Duke, it's circle thrust, not thrust circle. Circle thrust, not thrust circle, okay? And Daff, he will be pressing you up against the bed. So could you lean up against something? Yes, that's right. A wall would work. Now, Duke, it's circle thrust, not thrust circle. Circle thrust, not thrust circle. Circle thrust, not thrust circle. Circle thrust. Okay, we're getting there. Okay, a little more. Now, Duke. Ooh, Duke, could you reach out for her? Yes, now reach out and grab her. I'm not... if I'm being completely honest, guys, I'm not quite feeling the chemistry.
Okay, could it have anything to do with the fact that we are in 2 separate locations?
Real chemistry can be felt from the bottom of the sea, butt cheeks.
Butt cheeks.
Hey guys, so we've just got news. Chris says they've actually decided to postpone filming until it can be done in person, so we won't be working on this till 2022.
Thank God. Now I'll have more time intimacy coordinating for the film adaptation of The Night Before the Morning After. Toodaloo.
Well, we're just about coming to the end of the show, but before we do, I want to check in one last time with my cousin Claude. He's in the waiting room now.
Do you know he's still in the forest?
Not exactly.
Hi guys.
Claude, where are you?
I am in the bear.
You're in the bear?
I think it was a bear. Yes, it came from an unexpected angle.
Well, are you being digested?
Oh, no, not that I know of. I haven't really looked around yet, I guess. Probably.
Claude.
Digestion doesn't really bother me though, you know?
Claude.
You want to know what does? No, that's not good.
Claude.
You want to know what freaks me out?
Katie, your cousin Claude just...
Global warming. Here to talk about what we can do about it is Divest Princeton.
What's going on?
Hi. Welcome.
Hi.
Welcome, Ryan and Anna from Divest Princeton. So you guys are the 2 student leaders of Divest Princeton. And really quickly, for anyone who might not know, what is divestment and why divest in your soundbite pitch?
So divestment is, in our soundbite pitch, the most impactful thing that people at Princeton can do to ensure that climate change is reversed. Princeton's got a $26 billion endowment. That's its biggest weapon in the fight. And so we're basically here to say that it should use it to help the world and fulfill its mission to be in the world service. So we think it works because there's proof that it works. We've got companies like Shell and Peabody Coal that are on the record basically saying that divestment helped to really, or has hurt them, or in Peabody's case has bankrupted them. And we think that it's the necessary thing to do because everything Princeton says that it's doing on the inside, working with these companies, hasn't worked. And there's not really enough time left for us to wait around for it to work. So that's why we've been at this.
So Kevin Cruz stated in his interview with him that it seemed to him that the administration was more amenable and supportive to student politics. Has that been your experience? How has it been working with the administration or with different facets of the university in this fight?
Well, I think the administration may be more supportive to student politics than it once was, but I think they still have a long ways to go. From our experience dealing with the CPUC Resources Committee, who are the ones who decide whether to recommend our proposal to the Board of Trustees or not, they have been perfectly nice and amenable, but we haven't heard anything from President Eisgruber, and we haven't heard anything from the board after a year of this, and after students on campus have shown significant support for divestment. And I think from our experience, we have seen that there needs to be some significant reform in regards to the proposal process. I think the process is set up to be intentionally slow and vague. For example, our first couple of meetings with the Resources Committee were quite frustrating because you see they're given very vague criteria from the Board of Trustees that they have to use to determine whether to approve a proposal or not. So they consider three things. They consider whether there's sustained campus interest, whether a central university value is clearly at stake, and whether there is consensus on campus. So great, we're totally psyched to give them that. So we ask, all right, how can we show you there is consensus? And what does that mean? And they say, well, consensus isn't really defined. So then we ask, okay, what are the university's values? And they say, well, there's no official university values. So this is the kind of thing that really discourages student activism, I think, because the criteria is just so arbitrary. So yeah, that being said, I think if the administration really cares about student activism, then they should treat this matter with some urgency, because climate change and change on campus, I don't think can afford another year of delay.
Also, judging from my inbox, just personally, I get a lot of divestment related things. You know,
Sorry.
A pledge. Or, no, not. This is not a criticism. There's a lot of visibility about it, and kind of mentioning you have to show your student support. So we're also kind of wondering what kind of ways you've engaged the students with pledges and stuff like that. Also, your recent op-ed series, if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, so we have this great no donations until divestment open letter to Eisgruber and the administration, which is in many of those emails. And so right now we have about 2,200 signatures on our open letter, and making it the largest petition ever in Princeton history to asking to withhold donations, and the third largest petition in Princeton's history to our knowledge. So we also have 700 public endorsements that you can read on our website from Princeton students, alumni, faculty such as Kevin Cruz, staff, campus groups, and other prominent supporters such as Bill McKibben and Jane Goodall. And so I think if students want to get involved, a first step would be signing that open letter. I can put in the chat after this, sharing the open letter with your friends, following us on social media, and joining the team by checking out our website, divestprinceton.com, or emailing us at ffdivestprinceton@gmail.com. And yeah, we have a recent op-ed series in the Daily Princetonian, which everybody should check out to learn more about power and money at Princeton. Talks about how democratic the Board of Trustees is. Spoiler alert, it's not very democratic. Also the influence of big donors at Princeton, how much of it funds climate denial, and yeah, that series was actually recently mentioned in a New Yorker article by Bill McKibben, and I can send that in the chat. We also have two events this February left, and there is one on next Tuesday, February 23rd at 6 p.m. Why divesting is a good investment strategy, and also February 27th we have a movie night with The Sacrifice Zone, which is a great movie.
Can you guys quickly explain? I think people might have seen the kind of slogan Princeton break up with Exxon. Can you explain to us what that means and why a relationship with Exxon is something that you guys find issue with? Brian?
Yeah, well, Exxon is the most flagrant climate destroyer in the world, and that's saying something. So there's kind of, these companies sort of divide themselves into camps. There's one camp that says, well, we have to sort of retool, we have to have climate plans, but we don't necessarily have to change our fundamental business model. We have to put gloss on it and make it look like we're doing some good stuff. Exxon's in another camp, which basically says it's last call for oil. We're gonna just like go for it, drill for as much of it as we possibly can before it becomes unviable as a source of fuel. And that's like totally antithetical to Princeton's scholarship. It's got a sustainability action plan that calls for net zero by mid-century, which is the same thing as the Paris Accord. And so it's bananas really that we would have a research program dedicated to finding climate solutions with basically like the people killing the climate. It's totally wild. Even in the next 5 years, Exxon plans to release something like 100 million tons of carbon dioxide into the air just by drilling for new stuff, not even like using what they already have, but by drilling for new stuff. So it's a real deterrent for, I think, potential students to come to this school, because they look at that kind of hypocrisy and they say, well, why should I go to a school that doesn't respect its own like values or scholars' points of view? So for that reason alone, I think in like the interest of the school, we think it's in the interest of the school to break up with Exxon. So that's the link that Anna just shared in the chat.
Right after Valentine's Day.
Right after Valentine's Day.
So where are you guys? I think you had a USG referenda which successfully passed. Where are you in the process now? What are we waiting on? I think that even by vague standards of consensus, it passed pretty overwhelmingly. So what are you waiting on, and what is the school now waiting on?
Yeah, well, in terms of the referendum, and if anybody doesn't know, 82.5% of the undergraduate body voted for fossil fuel divestment, which is huge, coming from the people in the Princeton community who will be most affected by climate change. And so at the beginning of February, the USG sent a position paper for the referendum to the university administration. And so now in terms of that, we're just waiting for the university to respond. The funny thing about referendums is the administration isn't required to take any action when something is voted through in the USG. But it is a huge deal, and it shows, they wanted to see consensus from students on campus, and this shows them consensus and that they should take action soon. And Ryan can tell you a bit about where we're at in terms of the formal process with the resources committee.
I'll keep it really, really short. Princeton is like a bureaucratic onion where there are layers and layers of just like one more tier of bureaucracy after the next. And the resources committee is where we're at right now. They exist solely to examine questions of divestment. Anytime there's a petition for divestment, it goes to them first. And you've got faculty, you've got staff and students alike that are all on this committee. And so we're working with them right now. Won't say anything about that process other than, we feel like within and without there is momentum for this like there hasn't really been before. So we think we're close, really. This isn't for nothing. And then at that point, if the resources committee chooses to write a positive recommendation, that goes to the finances committee of the board of trustees, where they vote on it, and then it goes to the board for a full vote. That process is where it's nothing divestment related to fossil fuel divestment related has ever made it that far. So that's kind of uncharted territory, and we're close. So
A lot of committees.
A lot of committees, like an onion you described. So I think maybe we can consider the divestiture divestiture movement as a kind of hibachi onion that flames through the onion, breaks forth, and then we are free. Would you agree?
Yeah, no, that's pretty much, that was the vision we had.
That's how you started out.
You guys have to now get merch with hibachi onions on them. I think you're welcome.
We'll do. We've got stickers. Hopefully everyone found a sticker at some point. They're floating around at this point. That's our first purchase as a group, so we're pretty proud of that.
The stickers are great. I might even have one. Okay, so thank you guys so much. It sounds like my final question is, what's stopping you from, besides a pandemic, working through all of these different committees, what's stopping you guys from breaking down the doors a la Les Mis with chairs? Is that a less viable means of activism? Is that, that's my question. Thank you, Michael.
No, not at all. It's not a less viable means of action. In fact, we saw the Black Justice League make some really big things happen by doing that and not getting really the credit that they deserve for it 5 years later, or however many years. So I think that we've got more of a formalized structure to work with, and so we're trying to basically be on our best behavior within it for now. But it's an inside-outside strategy, and so much of what we're doing depends on there being constant agitation from the outside, protests, people writing letters. I mean, in the links that we've got in there are links where you can basically write a form letter to President Eisgruber, to the Resources Committee. That's really important. So while we have to basically put on our business clothes and negotiate like adults, we really need the doors to be busted down, if not physically, then metaphorically. I'm sure you've got 2 cents too.
Yeah, I think we need, other than the pandemic, we just need everybody to join the movement, and we need more people to help us make that noise. And so it's really, we're dependent on everybody on this call and everybody in the Princeton community to sign the petition, to submit an endorsement, spam Eisgruber's email, and make that noise. Yeah.
And get stickers. That's how we win.
Activism through stickers. Thank you, Anna, and thank you, Ryan, so much for being on this episode of All Nighter. It was such a joy to talk to you, and I really encourage everyone to check out all the links that were dropped in the chat, and the op-ed series, as you guys mentioned. So for the finale of our show, we have a special musical guest. All Nighter has a new policy. And that policy is that everyone on the show has to have at least 40,000 followers on Instagram. So luckily, Aisha has 41.8 thousand. So she will be our musical act, and she will be singing from her new album. Aisha.
It was the summer I learned to love politics and Elliott Smith, 'cause you did. Swinging in the backyard, wind in my hair and words, you're playing it cool like a kid. But I'm the kind of girl that you write songs about, mystery you can't get out your head before you sleep at night. Once in a lifetime you're taking pictures you can't bear to lose. Be the artist to my muse. I think dying is a beautiful thing to do by your side. I bleed on paper so the fact of the fiction is alive on the page when I'm gone. Coming undone in dark enjoy catching our breath just for a moment, and I could waste all of my time in between the lines. 'Cause I'm the kind of girl that you write songs about, mystery you can't get out your head before you sleep at night. Once in a lifetime you're taking pictures you can't bear to lose. Be the artist to my muse. I think dying is a beautiful thing to do. By your side. Ha, 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 ha. Every movement in my rear view and every place in reference to you. If nothing else, can I be your regret years from now? I'm the kind of girl that you write songs about, mystery you can't get out your head before you sleep at night. Once in a lifetime you're taking pictures you can't bear to lose. Be the artist to my muse. I think dying is a beautiful thing to do. By your side.
Thank you, Isha. She just released a new story-based EP called Fact of the Fiction, which is available on all major streaming platforms. So be sure to check it out, and you can follow her on all social media platforms at Isha Music. Thank you to Kevin Cruz. Thank you to Divest Princeton. Thank you to all of our wonderful actors and writers, and Claude, if you're still out there. And that's our show. Now go get some sleep. Keep your distance, wash your hands with soap and water, Purell if you're not near a sink. Don't eat inside restaurants. Secure your oxygen mask before helping others, and find your life vest under your seat, and wear 2 goddamn masks. Good night, everybody. Thank you so much. That's our show.